Hi, everyone.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
So I'm Hywel Davies, obviously this is Melanie. Can we say thank you very much to the people from Fashion Tech Berlin for inviting us, and Sleep Magazine, and Jess, who works for Sleep Magazine and is also a graduate of the same course that Melanie graduated from Central St Martin's, and I graduated from, and also Sharmadine. So it's a bit of a CSM living, so that's brilliant. So basically, we're going to just talk a bit about how, like we said before, Central St Martin's is very rooted in history, tradition, analogue, craft, very much about celebrating the making of product. So it's never really been engaged in digital. But we've started to explore how, through education and linking with the right companies and doing the right sort of projects, we can encourage our staff and also our students to engage in digital. So we're just going to show you a bit about Central St Martin's. It was said before, obviously Central St Martin's is very well known for the graduates, the designers who have graduated. So this is some of our alumni, obviously, which you've heard about. We're very well known for producing fantastic fashion designers that really go and work at the high level of creativity in the industry. So, fashion design is really central to the success of the school. So this is just some of our recent graduates. But also in tandem with fashion design, we have a whole suite of courses under the title of Fashion Communication. So this is the course that we all studied. And Fashion Communication at Central St Martin's started over 20 years ago, which was actually, we were one of the first colleges worldwide to start realising that fashion as an industry isn't just about product, it's about communication, but the creative communication of products. So we really sort of pioneered about how to sort of encourage students to see other opportunities within the fashion industry. So these are some of our really well-known FCP, Fashion Communication and Promotion graduates. Katie Grand, Sharmadine in the middle, who you've just seen, Reba Mabry, Kate Phelan, who is a fashion director at Vogue, now at Topshop.
This is our female edit.
Yeah, this is female edit, obviously created by Melanie. No boys. And that's Melanie's hashtag for
Sorry.
Power. Girl power. But it's really important how the culture we've developed at Central St Martin's is designers, fashion designers, working very creatively, very experimentally, not really thinking about commerce or industry or being commercial. And in tandem with them, we have these communicators, so photographers, stylists, art directors, graphics, and now filmmakers, and also digital pioneers. We're really encouraging students on the communication pathway to work alongside the fashion designers. So together, they're coming up with solutions of how to communicate and talk about their collections. So it's not just about the design happening and then the communication trying to follow and catch up. It's about them developing concepts and working together. So this is just some images of our fashion communication students. Last year, actually, we had a lot of really successful boys who graduated.
Amazing year last year.
Who really are digital natives, and I think they think in moving image before they think in still image. And that has been a huge shift in maybe the last 2 years. But when we all studied, it was very much about the photograph being the most powerful thing in communication. But now people think much more three-dimensionally and moving image. So I'm going to move over to Melanie now, who's going to talk to you about some of the projects that she's been really driving in terms of digital awareness at Central St Martin's. And like Sharmadine was saying, what we really are trying to do is balance that idea of an appreciation of craft and the physical object as well as the experience in a digital world. And it is sort of having 2 feet in both sides of these two worlds. And one has to exist with the other to actually be successful. Okay, thanks, Mel.
Thanks. So we've got, the way we're going to do this is we've sort of tried to answer some questions. I basically got my job at Central St Martin's 2 years ago after teaching on FCP for, on a few projects. And they never really had an initiative that was based around fashion communication for the college. So we kind of worked as a department in a sort of a very industry fashion to really embed the school itself as to communicate itself on an effective level. It was very difficult. So it was kind of this conundrum, which is what this is about. It's how do you digitize what is effectively an art school? So much of the work is incredibly physical and beautiful and, like you said, based in craft and in design. And the history of the school, again, is so much about the experience and about the place, about London. And, you know, nobody really wanted to sanitize, and everyone was very reluctant to sanitize what that was, especially the staff members who are so intrinsic to what the school is about. So I came in to try and oil a machine, really, into a way that was a little bit more communicative, because the work that goes on there is so incredible. The students that are there are just so talented and innovative and genuinely surprising that it felt like there needed to be more avenues for these things to be seen, because obviously the students continue to do amazing work. So the first kind of thing we were thinking of is how do you contextualize such a rich cultural history online? Hywel obviously showed you how many amazing designers, that was a tiny portion of them, and how they influenced the sort of global fashion industry. Centre St Martin's is ranked #1 by Business of Fashion across the world, so it's a huge amount of pressure effectively as well. But we're very aware of our heritage. So we've been working with Google, which is a project I'm actually going to go into later, but it's very important for us to be able to talk about our history and actually do that that does the school well, and that's been really difficult to do. So we've done that on, you know, our digital channels, really, and by creating a language that can work. So these are just all of the invitations to the fashion shows going back to 1999, which was the year Riccardo Tisci graduated. I'm actually not going to go into that one because we're not going to have time. Actually, I'll go back. So this is a page that we've created with the Google Cultural Institute. Oh, there we go. That's about that just kind of showcases in a very analog way. Oh, next one. Sorry. There you go. It's like a gallery of the invitations. But the invitations are a really good example of how physical and design-based everything is. So it was really good to digitize this archive, if you like, and contextualize it in this fashion. I'll speak about that later. So this is a massive one we had to try and figure out, is how does an art school use digital technologies? So our school is not, you know, fundamentally equipped with the most amazing technology. We have, you know, great things to produce clothes and to produce textiles, but we don't own any, you know, pioneering technology. So we partnered with Google, Google Cultural Institute, to join their digital archive, which is called Google Arts and Culture. Again, this was a really difficult thing to do. Everyone was very sort of skeptical about what this meant. Are you going to jeopardize, you know, integrity of image if you submit it to a big thing like this? So we had to sort of try and convince everyone to get on board. But what we ended up doing was just using this as an opportunity to use their technologies, because we didn't really have any idea of how this would turn out, what it was, when actually, in the end, Google just want people to author content. And so they wanted Centre St Martin's to author content for them, to build a database of information that actually is correct. So that's kind of why it was. But we just used it to say, hey, like, give us your cameras, and then to see what we could do with it. So this was the first... we had to design a series of exhibitions, and the main exhibition that we did for this project, which launched on June the 8th, I think, as part of like a fashion initiative across, you know, an international fashion initiative, was Blink, which was based on MA Fashion 2017. But, so we've obviously collated all this information, and we translated what was actually a physical exhibition, by Anna Fox. But what's interesting is you get to see the way we used their cameras. So we used the Jump 360 in order to give a glimpse of what it was like to be backstage at the show. So what you have is different views and actually a way you can explore from all angles what it's like to be backstage and also what it's like to be on the front row. So when it will continue to go, I can't fast forward it unfortunately, but there'll be another one in a minute that you can see. But it's really interesting because it just gives the experience, and we were really interested to see how we can, include these technologies without actually, taking away from what actually was going on, which was the students' work being really amazing and very involved. So this is the 360 camera and the film we did, which you'll see that you can explore. And the way we found people use this the most was actually on their phones. So if you actually type this address in, you can use your iPhone and just actually look around like this and just explore different areas of the backstage. One thing we find is most people are most responsive to is behind the scenes and sketchbook work. That's our most kind of powerful content that people really love to see. And it might not naturally be what we want to put out that we would find interesting, but is other people find it interesting. So yeah. But anyway, this actually goes on to say to see front row, which is really interesting. As you can just see here, I'm actually going to click it off. There you go. That's the show starting. And then the next thing we did was actually the Google Art camera. So this is a very high, what do you call it? A high definition camera that was actually developed over 20 years ago. But it's designed to take photographs, almost like scans of artworks. And we were really interested by this because obviously, people like to look at clothes very close up, and they don't really get the opportunity. And like I said, the thing that our audience wants is to see more. So we decided, we decided that we would use the Google Art camera to actually photograph clothes as part of the exhibition. And so what this is you can actually explore an image to such a degree that you can see the weave of the fabric. So inside Sorry, it's all right. So it's really interesting, you can see it. And this one is the Brown Arse dress by Joshua Beatty. And like I said, it's just a really interesting way to explore garments. It takes 45 minutes to take a picture. And this was the first time that they'd actually used it to photograph clothes on a stand. It doesn't work very well. It hasn't figured out its 3D, feet yet. But we did actually manage to do it, and the results we were really happy with. So that was good. And that was part of Google's initiative across, the global initiative they did. I think it's just nice to see texture, and that we know people really enjoyed to see it, so it's good. Okay, students work online. This is the next biggest thing, like I said, because the wealth of work that we have is massive. And also the people we partner with are also really prestigious. I was always so frustrated by how little was spoken about of the great, connection that was going on all the time. Like people making these, the network that exists there, because everyone works in industry, is so vast. But I genuinely don't think it was ever sort of looked at in enough ways. It was people just didn't have the time. So one thing I really tried to do, and we worked together on, is to figure out how you present students' work. So this is a website that's designed to be like a bit like a Vogue runway, but also a sort of search engine for stylists. So all of the graduate collections from BA are presented here. And they are tagged with words, so you can actually search. This is actually in development at the moment, but it is live. So you can search things, and also their contact details are there, which allows their network to grow. So we can promote that to our people and to spread it around, and then they have the benefit of being able to be kind of, searched. I mean, we had some statistics from British Vogue that our show, the MA and the BA shows, are the most viewed shows on their site. And that's because people use them for research. So we really needed to try and sort of bring that into ourselves a little bit, because like I said, we've never been as digitally savvy as potentially we can. And also, obviously, we try to keep these linked to the students, the student's identity, so their own channels, really. So this will go to Richard Oxley's Instagram, who is a menswear designer who's just graduated now. This is the other project that I was going to show you, which is really, really amazing, and it has so many facets. So what you're looking at here is a website that we built with one of the graduates from FCP, his name's Gareth Wrighton, and the project itself was actually with the Cristobal Balenciaga Museum in Balboa, and the design students and FHT students went there to experience the museum, and the design students responded with design. So they were sort of commissioned really to innovate their ideas and gear it towards the themes of this exhibition, which was really amazing. So we built this site to kind of showcase the work that the students did because it was so good. And in here we go into the vision section, which is the where you can see what they did and their information there. But one thing that was so good about this was that we got Gareth to build the site, so it's using the students the graduates as a resource, and actually using their cutting edge, approach for our own benefit, and also his work works really well. So the design of the site we were so happy with, and as an example of this, to further the project, the Victoria and Albert Museum wanted to showcase this for Fashion in Motion. So those designs went on and were showcased in the Raphael Gallery inside the museum, which was beautiful. So that just shows the evolution of the projects that we do and how they influence, how they're actually present in industry as well. These are just another way that we kind of try and digitize content. So these are lineups from the studios. So I try and animate content so people can see it a bit more easily, but these are beautiful, handmade lineups, and they're made by Fabio Peraz, who took over from Louise Wilson. He's the director of the MA. So it's just thinking about ways to digitize these things, letting people see them and engage with them, and creating a language that can collect them together. So I really enjoy doing these, and they also get a really amazing response. People love to see development, and they love to see the final product next to it. We also did some experimenting with interactive videos. This video is actually almost 2 years old, but it just shows our attempt really of how we try and work those things together. So we made a video which has the MA catwalk, and it has kind of like a moving icon that you can click and then gather more information about the designer. So it's much more about getting more information on while watching the catwalk at the same time.
This is sort of just like a really, really, really tight, really, really mini version of a dress, and all of them are paired with kind of contrasting sequins.
So that's Michael Halpern, and he's like a young designer, emerging designer now, but he was part of that video, so you could see his collection on the catwalk, and then if you were intrigued, you could click on this dot and actually find out more information from him speaking, because people really also like to see inspirations. This is the other video that we did, which is a panel discussion. The idea being that we were using our network of people. We have, like I said, such amazing tutors and just alumni that exist. So we brought them together in a mixture to have a discussion together about the 2016 catwalk show.
Because that's where everyone just kind of started.
So now we have Irene Martinucci, and this is absolutely beautiful.
Very chic. I mean, that is, it's very beautiful. Very beautiful. I don't like the shoes.
I mean, I'm quite wowed by this, actually.
I love that, though.
My collection was inspired by the traditional workwear of some fishermen in Portugal. I was just researching on checked fabrics because I had the idea.
So this is the voice of the designer speaking about the collection.
I would cut the pattern of the fabric and then construct garments with it. For example, this shirt is just made
We basically really realised that people just wanted to hear from the student as well, and the purpose of these videos was to, you know, give that insight that potentially they wouldn't be able to have. But like I said, the responses were really good, and this video, even though it was not promoted at all, had 100,000 views, which shows the kind of like interest for this type of content.
So it was easy to sew all the strips together.
I just wanted to also mention about language and archiving. So people obviously really want to see things in groups now, and our only real means are on social at the moment. Like we said, we're extremely limited by money, and we sort of make do with what we can and what we have. So one of the ways in which we keep a language flowing and categorization is by stamping years with hashtags. So the students get really involved in this, they contribute their own work, it allows us to keep on top of who's doing what, and they're very sort of into doing that. So this is for MAF CSM 17, and this is just an animation of the invitation that we did. And then this is BAF CSM 17, which I guess also shows the difference between them, and that's the invitation that came this year. So yes, again, just about language. It helps really for us to sort of collect them together. So anytime we do a project, this is actually an exhibition. We just try and make things as present as possible about the school, about the environment, so people can see it, but also to try and keep back certain elements so people are still intrigued by it. And this was an exhibition last year. Oh yeah. Last one is, how do we build an audience that's outside the university sphere? Again, we are so much about industry, and we have to communicate to industry in order to keep ourselves relevant. So we had to sort of break away from what the university is in order to own our own voices. So we've spent a lot of time trying to sort of identify those areas, and we've done that largely on Instagram. But like I said, we also are developing individual websites that will live as, you know, continuously live, which is good. So this is MA Fashion, because we have 4 different sections. So this is MA Fashion, dealing only with MA Fashion Design. BA Fashion, again, just BA Fashion Design. It's the most popular one and the most contributed to one. FCCSM, which is Fashion Communication. And then we also have Grad Dip, which is another design course. But what's really also important to know is that these followings are all completely organic and have been grown totally from grassroots perspective, and there is no commercial kind of involvement in these at all. The end.